Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jada Vallabha Giridhari Gopi Jada Vallabha Giridhari Yasodhanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodhanandana Bhajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridhari Yasodhanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Vishwabhadra Hamsa Prabhyak Charasutara Satri Shivad Vai Vaisesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Skambhiviti Founder Acharya His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Srimad Bhagavatam Grantaraja Ki Oh glories to the symbol of devotees, glories to the symbol of devotees, glories to the symbol of devotees. Oh, glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Gaura Premananda. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 20, conversation between Maitreya and Vidura, and we're doing texts 23 and 24 today. So, what have we got? 23 up there, Devo? Devo Devan Jagannatha Sri Jati Smati Lolupan Tadinam Lolupataya Matunaya Videpadire Devo Devan Jadagata Srijati Smati Lolupan Taenam Lolupataya Maitunaya Bipedire Srijati Smati Lolupan Taenam Lolupataya Devo Devam Jagadata Srijati Smati Lolupan Taenam Lolupataya Maitunaya Bipedire Devo Devam Jagata Srijati Smati Lolupan Taenam Lolupataya Maitunaya Vive Deva Lord Brahma Devan demons Jagannath from his buttocks Sri Jatishma gave birth Ati Lolupan excessively fond of sex They Enam Lord Brahma Lolupataya with lust Maitunaya for copulation Apidere approached. Translation: Lord Brahma then gave birth to the demons from his buttocks, and they were very fond of sex. Because they were too lustful, they approached him for copulation. I'll get you to repeat this. Purport: sex life is the background material existence. Here also it is repeated that demons are very fond of sex life. The more one is free from the desire for sex, the more he is promoted to the level of the demigods. The more one is inclined to enjoy sex, the more he is degraded to the level of demoniac life. So we read text 24 as well. Tato hasan sa bhagavan ashure nirapatrape Anviyatmanastarasa krudo vita parapatat. Translation: the worshipful Brahma first laughed at their stupidity, but finding the shameless Asuras closing upon him, he grew indignant and ran in great haste out of fear. Purport: sexually inclined demons have no respect even for their father. And the best policy for a saintly father like Brahma is to leave such demoniac sons. Om Agyanati Varandasya Jananjana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Durga Me Parimendasya Skalapate Gatimuhu Svakripa Yustadanana Shanta Shanta Avalambanam. No? I have this relation with computers and artificial intelligence that whenever I'm under pressure, they sort of refuse to cooperate with me, just to accentuate the natures of the material world. So we'll try and unwrap this sloka a bit. There are the heavy verses, and worse is yet to come, but I'm quite happy to take this one on. So, in the Srimad Bhagavatam here, we're up to the 3rd canto, but you might remember just a few months ago, we're all here, we're talking in the 2nd canto about the creation of the universe. So I'm thinking, what is this? We're going back to the creation again. So this is a bit of a different aspect here, that in the 2nd canto, we're talking how, Mahavishnu breathed out, and from his pores these wonderful universes appeared out of Pradhana and become Mahatattva, and they become all the elements, and then from within everything began to be created, and then Lord Brahma entered and created all the situations for life to come about, and then Lord Vishnu impregnated the living entities into all the different forms. So now Maitreya is going a little bit further. He wants to know how did the process of creation come about. So the focus is on Lord Brahma. So Lord Brahma is there, he's received the knowledge from Krishna. The elements are being created, everything's in readiness, and simultaneously as the super soul enters into the bodies of all the living entities, the time element begins to click and the universe is in action. And the super soul, also Lord Vishnu in his form as Chiradoksai Vishnu, enters into the heart of all the living entities, infusing them with the life force, and that life force is going to accompany that living entity from the beginning right through to the end, the whole creation of the universe. And how long is the universe? 100 years. 100 years Lord Brahma, which is, as we know, 4,320,000 years. It's 4 cycles of the Yuga that we're in. And that is just incomprehensible to us when people say to us, oh, we're in Kali Yuga. Oh, how long are we going to be in Kali Yuga for? Usually we say, oh, another 5,000 years or something like that, and 10,000 years, they could grasp that. But we go another 427,000 years. They go, what? And that's the shortest yuga. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, right? You remember that formula. 1, Kali, 2, Dwapara, 3, Treta, 3 times long, 4, Satya. And you add them up, and you get 10, right? 4, 3, 2, 1 is 10. So you multiply 432,000 by 10, you get 4,320,000 years, one cycle of yugas, right? So that, you need 1,000 of them to make up a day, Lord Brahma, right? A day, that's 12 hours, right? And then you multiply that by 2, and then you get 8,640,000,000 years is one day of Lord Brahma. And Lord Brahma lives 100 years, and we take a year to be 360 days in a year. The Vedic calendar has this. We can explain it to you. That's why they throw in an extra month every, 3 years or so? Is it month called? No, it's a leap year. Huh? No, it's not a leap year. It's the month of something or other. Yeah, we all know what it is. So that's a good time to perform austerities. It's not considered to be too auspicious. So then that, Purushottam month, yeah. So then, when was that? That was last year, wasn't it? So every 3 or 4 years, I can't remember. So that makes it 360 times, but days in a year. But the crucial thing is that that's the process of that's Lord Brahma's lifetime. But within that day and night, he has to recreate, right? So every day he has to recreate. So if we think about it, 360 days in a year, 100 years. So Lord Brahma has to recreate the universe 36,000 times in his lifetime, right? So that's a pretty intense job, right? And it always doesn't go smoothly for Lord Brahma, as we know. So we're right in this situation here where things are sort of going a bit belly up on him. You know, he's creating, and all of a sudden these demons and whatever are coming out, because there's demigods, there's demons, there's all living entities. He's got to create everything. He's impartial. He has to create the state of consciousness which the living entity is in from the last day that, you know, they all got absorbed into the body of Lord Vishnu and come out again. So to do that, Krishna has given him the creative potency. So the creative potency is what is the potency in all living beings, that they want to procreate and recreate. Without that, you would not be able to have a universe. If you didn't have that potency or that desire to procreate, then there'd be no living entities in this material universe. They'd all be back in the spiritual world. But they don't want that, you know, they want to come here. So they're all given the responsibility of procreation. And I may mention here at this point in time that Lord Brahma can adjust the intensity of this sort of this creative potency. Just like in the beginning, in this day, we find out that first of all he created Narad Muni from his mind. And Narad Muni refused that task and said, now you have to help me put all living entities in this universe. He said, not me. And then it became, then he created Kumaras, 4 Kumaras, and he asked them, and they decided to stay as little boys and not even mature, so they would not even think about procreation. So he's getting a bit frustrated and he got angry, and then Lord Shiva came out of his mind, and then he asked Lord Shiva to procreate, but Lord Shiva began to procreate all these little Rudras, you know, who were very, very ferocious. Rudra is the ferocious aspect of Lord Shiva, that at the end of the annihilation, they all emanate fire, and they're very angry and they destroy everything. That's the process of destruction, Lord Shiva. To destroy, you need to be influenced by the mode of ignorance. So then Lord Brahma said, settle down, you just meditate, okay? Don't worry about procreation, right? So he was sick, and so he turned up the volume of the creative potency so this wouldn't happen again. So that means that the urge for sex life was stronger in all living entities. So, you know, if we're afflicted by sex desire, we can think of Lord Brahma, you know, how he turned up the volume. You know, so that's how it is. So the desire to procreate is there, and all species have that. Whatever species, it's quite fascinating how you see this happen, like in spring and in summer. On the farm, you see it everywhere. It's like I just mentioned, the birds, the bees, the butterflies. It's amazing to see butterflies chasing each other, and they all have that innate desire to procreate, and then they know how to bring up their offspring, because that is desired. No matter how much the animals desire to have sex, after they have sex, then they take on the responsibility, right? Looking after their offspring. They don't decide to abandon it or anything like that. That's just the nature of Brahma, to keep the world populated full of living entities, and they know how to bring up the species. So just may add here, I always like to sort of throw in a few things about nature. What are the most annoying creatures that look after their offspring and annoy everybody? Well, I would say it's the magpies. You ever seen magpies around the place? And they always seem to leave their baby magpie somewhere, and he's screaming and squawking, and then finally they come and put something in his mouth, and he's happy just for a few minutes. And he starts squawking again, right? And the black cockatoos, they always seem to want to abandon their baby, and he's crying after him, wait for me, wait for me, wait for me, and he's flying after him, and it goes on for quite a while. And anyway, he gets brought up and joins the tribe. So we have the innate sort of primal instinct in animals to, preserve their young. There is one classic case. I'm maybe straying a little bit too far, but I want to just read this about the cat in the Titanic. Did you ever read that? That there's a boilermaker that was looking after the engines, and he brought his cat with him onto the Titanic. And his cat had babies. She had a whole litter of babies, 4 or 5 little cats. And then before the Titanic sailed, he noticed that the cat took each of his babies one by one, went down the gangplank, and left the Titanic. Right? So he thought there's something up with this, so he left the Titanic as well. Right? And so that was just the instinct in animals to preserve the species. So this is God's creation. So human beings, they also have that natural instinct. Of course, as we know, it's prevalent that once, a mother has a child, then the mother and the father, they bring up the baby as best as they can. But human beings are in such a sort of state of consciousness now that they enjoy procreation so much that they actually can separate the act of having sex from the responsibility of bringing up their children. And as Prabhupada says, and as the sloka says, that the more demoniac qualities that one accumulates, one becomes attached to this process of having sex. So in Kali Yuga, we know Manda Samanda Mataya that people are very, very agitated, and they're gravitating down towards that level of the mode of ignorance. So then they are promoting that the highest pleasure in life is having sex, and this is the nature of the society we live in today, that people are being brainwashed that the basis of happiness in relationship is that you have a good partner. But the problem with that is, or you have a good partner, or you enjoy the pleasures of having sex, but there is a problem with that. There is a downside, even on the material platform, that it doesn't actually last. So whatever situation you're in, the pleasure that soon actually fade is just, Prabhupada explains that what is pleasurable in the beginning becomes distasteful in the end, and what is not so pleasurable in the beginning becomes ecstatic. So you've heard that, right? Prabhupada says that a lot. He gives the example, does he? In relation, yeah. So we can start with so many pleasurable things, but then it's just like if we're listening to some music, some song we like, and we're really driven by the song, and we're listening to it time and time again, then it starts to wear thin, right? And someone says, I've done this. Oh, how about you play this song here? No, I don't want to play it. I've heard it so many times. Yeah, but I haven't. All right, I'll play it for you. And it's not pleasurable for that person. He's heard it. It's material sound vibration, and the pleasure's gone out of it. But with the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, well, first time you hear the Hare Krishna mantra, it's just like maybe curiosity or some sort of, like, what is that sound vibration? You don't quite understand it, but as you delve into it, then it becomes more and more pleasurable, and you can't get enough of it, right? That's spiritual life. So anyway, the consequences of... So what it is that there is a brainwashing, like people are brainwashed that sex is the main thing, but then if that is the basis, then it doesn't work, because if the relationship is based on that, then things break down. And we see that relationships are breaking down all over the place, marriages, and people can't keep their partners because they're unfortunately not understanding what the essence of this creative potency of Brahma is all about. They've forgotten. And the other thing is that people say, I'm looking for the real soulmate, and they're looking in this direction, but they're not going to find this soulmate in material life. They're going to find Krishna. He's the real soulmate, because remember, he's come as the super soul within the heart. He's accompanying that living entity right from the beginning when Lord Brahma created the first day in the world. He's going with him right through to the end. So Krishna's there as a silent witness, and he's the Chaitya Guru in the heart. Of course, if we make a little effort to see Krishna, then he reciprocates. It's like we wake up out of a dream. So that is what people are looking for. They're looking for that happiness factor, but the Satchidananda, the real happiness factor, is Krishna within the heart. So unfortunately, society today, Bhagavad Gita explains that Tribi Gunamaya Bhave Evi Sarvamitam Jagam Mohitam Napjanati Mam Abhya Paramavayam, that in 7th chapter, 14, verse 14, deluded by the three modes of material nature, goodness, passion and ignorance, the whole world knows me not, who am above these modes and am inexhaustible. So that's Krishna within the heart. He is beyond all this, that what we're looking for in this material world, which we came for. So according to these three modes, now the living entities are reacting in their different ways: goodness, passion and ignorance. So human beings who are under the direction of goodness, they procreate for raising loving families, stability in society, and enhance the consciousness of the society. That is the mode of goodness, sattva guna. So people in the mode of passion, they think sex is for enjoyment and it's God's gift, and you enjoy it to the fullest, and then when you want to have children, then you have that then when you see fit. So in the meantime, you enjoy this fabulous gift that God gave us, sex life. So in the 7th canto, Prahlad Maharaj gives an example. So he compares sex life to scratching an itch, right? So we know we've all been itchy. Sometimes some plants here that sort of give you itch all over your body, and you're sort of scratching. And it feels so great, scratching, so good. But actually then you sort of scratch somewhere else and you take that itch to another part of yourself. And then, of course, that doesn't go away. That just inflames it. You're just aggravating it. So that's what sex life is compared to, just scratching an itch that actually doesn't go away, but actually feels worse. The disease spreads. And so what was pleasurable out of the mode of passion can soon, so that creates a havoc. So with sex life, what was sort of pleasurable is actually insatiable. If it becomes insatiable, then it descends from that mode of passion to the mode of ignorance, where people just go further and further into their penchant for trying to enjoy sex in so many different ways that practically can destroy one's life. And we see it happening time. This is the news thrives on this every time there's some scandal, some gossip, how someone's just been driven to this point where they've affected everybody around them in such a big way. So this is the tamaguna, those in the mode of ignorance. They want to enjoy, and if they can enjoy and get away with it, they will. And it's also likened to pouring fuel on a fire. This is really serious stuff, like you want more. And, if there's a fire, you don't pour fuel on the fire. You think that's a very sensible thing. But I remember one time we had a fire out the back in the kitchen there. A wok boiled over. It was sort of like somebody said, you should cook a little bit more. So they were doing the offering. At one stage we only used to have the deity kitchen to cook for everybody, right? No big kitchen, just the deity kitchen. So they lit up a wok outside and they were chatting away, and then this whole thing boiled over, and the ski was bubbling very nicely, boiling over, and they caught fire. And then the whole kitchen out the back caught fire. And so it was like a comedy show, right? Ajit showed it on the cameras, they go running out, they look, and they go running back in again. And they sort of go running out, have a look. Yeah, it's still there. They go run back in, and then some person come around, and there was this sort of set of cupboards there. It's like particle board, right? So he decided to get the particle board, try to extinguish the flames. But particle board's got inflammable products in it, right? So that went up and made it worse, right? And by the time I was doing the deity worship that day, and by the time I got there 6:10, there was 3 fire brigade trucks. The Jeep was in the black and yellow coat, and they were directing traffic. Where are you going, son? I have to go in there. So, but the kitchen seriously got burnt, right? So pouring fuel on the fire. Tamagun, so Rajagun, the mode of passion. So it starts with the mode of passion. Lord Brahma, as we know, he's in charge. That's his task, creation. So creation is associated with passion, as we know. Maintenance is the mode of goodness, creation is mode of passion, and destruction sort of usually involves the mode of ignorance. So, but the fact of the matter is that Lord Brahma himself, he's situated in the mode of goodness. He's creating, in the mode of passion, but he has to create all these living entities. His task has been given with. And obviously it's a very, very desirable task, because to attain the position of Lord Brahma, what do you have to do, You have to be a perfect grihastha for 100 lifetimes. Do everything, Yeah, perfect grihastha brahmana, not make any mistakes whatsoever, and just 100 lifetimes of grihastha life. So one would deduce that it's much easier to become a devotee and go back to Godhead than to become Lord Brahma. You could do this in one lifetime. So then, of course, Lord Brahma gets to create the material world 36,000 times. So it's an amazing position, and Lord Brahma has an amazing body as well. It's just like we as human beings know when we procreate, the child comes out of the womb, of the female. But with Lord Brahma, there's all these different living entities coming out of different parts of the body of Lord Brahma. So, in the beginning, in the second canto, it said Lord Shiva came out of Naramuni came out of his mind, Lord Shiva came out from between his eyebrows, and then, of course, the Kshatriyas, they come out from his shoulder. So then Lord Brahma, Maitreya goes a little bit further into Lord Brahma's potency, how it creates, and he's speaking about now how Lord Brahma also has to create all the living entities within Tamagun. That's the mode of ignorance. And in the 17th verse, we learned how there's different layers of Tamagun. So he created under Misra, all the different sort of miserable layers of Tamagun. So he creates that, and he's feeling disgusted with himself. It's a job he had to do. It's sort of like, he sort of washed his hands of it, and he cast his shadow aside like that. But mode of ignorance is represented by the shadow, which becomes night. And then as soon as he casts that aside, some living entities jump at it, demoniac living entities, the Rakshasas. We read about that yesterday, the Rakshasas and the Yakshas. They jump at that night time, and they absorb themselves. So it says that the demoniac influences are in the night time. In the Bhagavad Gita, it explains that what is the time of awakening for the introspective sage is a night of sleep for those engrossed in material life, and vice versa for those who awake is the time of sleep for the introspective sage, especially when you think about Mangalarti and the Brahma Bhuta hour. So the demons, they're absorbed in the nighttime, and in the nighttime, it's said that this is when hunger and thirst take place, that you sleep and then wake up, you're hungry and you're thirsty. So these demons, they were overcome by hunger and thirst, and then they chased after Lord Brahma to eat him. this is a couple of slokas ago. So the demoniac, they're going after Lord Brahma. They want to eat him. They can't see. Eat him, catch him. Don't let him get away. So then Lord Brahma escaped from that. He created the demigods. And of course, he cast aside that sort of spiritual aspect of demigods, and that was the daytime. And so the demigods thrive in the daytime. As we know, that knowledge is light and nescience is darkness. So then we have these created demigods. So after that, from his backside, now we're up to his backside here, all of a sudden the demons come out of his backside. It's like he's creating this. And these demoniac people here, they're the ones that are overtly attached by that mode of ignorance. So the more you get in the mode of ignorance, the more your consciousness becomes obsessed. Become obsessed by enjoying, and the highest enjoyment, sex life. So the demons come out and they want to enjoy sex life. I had a very interesting upbringing. This is another story, by the way. So after I left school, we were brought up in a Christian tradition, and we're trying to work out what was right and what was wrong. You know, we got told a lot of facts, which were so-called facts, which we were questioning. And then one of my friends started to develop a few demoniac qualities there, and he came up with the proposition that, you know, if you're stuck on a desert island and you have the choice between having a meal and having sex, what would you do? And his purport was that you would have sex first, right? And I've sort of still got that sort of godly aspect in me. I go, no, you'd want to eat first. He goes, no, you go have sex first, right? And so this went, it's like a chicken and egg debate. We used to have it nearly every day for months, you know. And you couldn't defeat him. He just said that this was what was happening. He was right. You know, this is actually what is happening, that these guys really want to have sex because they're overcome by that desire. They want more than anything. What I couldn't tell him, that as you gravitate more to the mode of goodness, then you actually learn how to control your senses, and you know what is actually right and what is wrong, and you can actually curtail, you know, can bring your senses under control by your mind, and you might not need anything, you know. You might need a meal just to survive, but you certainly don't need the sex. But that comes from understanding the fact that you're not this body anyway, and the senses are just a sort of vehicles to help you come to that platform of self-realization. Of course, I wasn't able to explain that, but so anyway, the demons, they had that consciousness. And when they were created, there was no one there but Lord Brahma, right? There was no other person of the opposite sex, so naturally they went for Lord Brahma. So then Lord Brahma thought, what is this? These guys are chasing me, but I just created them. And he thought it was really ironical and funny, but then they started to really seriously go after him, so he was forced to flee. And he took shelter of Lord Vishnu. What'll I do? So the creation aspect of him is sort of getting a little bit out of hand. So eventually, as we read in subsequent slokas there, he created the twilight and he cast off that shadow. So he's able to cast off different bodies like that. He cast off his shadow, and then he created the twilight. And the demons became attracted by the beauty of that twilight, became mesmerized, and they associate that with the female form, and they flattered the female form, and that goes on. We read later on about that in this chapter. So just to sort of briefly sum up, that Srila Prabhupada is stating here in this purport that the more one becomes attached to sex, the demoniac qualities become prominent, and there is no peace, no cessation. We know in the mode of ignorance there's people, the tendencies are that one is always agitated, one argues a lot, and one can never find real satisfaction. So if you think about it as well, if you're completely become attached to sex, and all the religious principles become eroded, like cleanliness, and then your austerity, then your mercy and truthfulness. They all play their part in illicit sex. So therefore society in general is controlled, but right now at this point in time it seems to be going out of control. Prabhupada states then in the purport that the more one becomes free from sex desire, the more is promoted to the level of the demigods. So the demigods is to enter the higher regions of this universe, like Tapaloka. One has to perform austerities and refrain from sex all his life, no sticky. And then one can go to Tapaloka, which is a very, very wonderful heavenly situation where one can meditate on the Lord and he actually appears before you in your heart. Or if you want to go to Brahmaloka, you're completely free from all sinful reactions to get there. So, even so, Lord Krishna states in Bhagavad Gita, Abrahma bhuvana loka mamupecha kontia puna mamupecha kontia puna jana vidyate, that from the highest planet, Lord Brahma's planet, down to the lowest, really all places are miserable because birth and death have to take place. Even Lord Brahma, I was just meditating as it's coming up here, Lord Brahma on his last day, it's like 99th year, 359th day, and this is his last day of creation. Even though it goes for such a long time, he knows that this is the last day he creates, right? And it's going to come to an end. There is an end, right? For us, that's incredibly long, but still, everybody actually lives their 100 years. So, but Krishna explains that one who attains to my abode, son of Kunti, never takes birth again. So, the goal is Krishna's abode, and that's Brahma Bhuta. The Brahma Bhuta platform means spiritual realization. What spiritual realization is beyond the influence of the three modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance. We go beyond it. It's just a very, very strong factor here in the material world, which makes us think, hey, we're having a good time here. Why do we need to go anywhere? Boom, gone. So-and-so, it's just like, I'm just seeing this picture here, and I actually feel for this. I don't know who it is. There's a picture here of someone who's passed away. Usually when someone passes away, we'll put their picture there. It looks like a young man, right? I don't know, motorbike accident, something, gone, you know? He's West Australia, that's all I know, he's from West Australia, Yatra, right? Back to so-and-so, back to Tapa. You know, usually we associate that with old people, you know, but who knows, you know? And once again, another birth, another lot. So that is just an awakening, actually, that really we should go to the Brahma Bhuta platform. What happens there, it says Brahma Bhuta, beautiful sloka in the 18th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, text 54. Brahma Bhuta prasanna mana sochiti dakangshati samasarvasa bhutashu mad bhaktim labate param, that one who is transcendently situated once realizes the supreme Brahman. So there's the Brahman and Brahma. People often get confused. So Brahma is a personality, is in charge of the material world. Brahman is that beautiful spiritual effulgence which is outside the universe. Brahma, Brahman. I have to explain that a lot to people. So one who achieves that platform, Supreme Brahman, never laments or desires to have anything, is equal to all, and he, in that state, he attains pure devotional service to me. So how do we get there? It's a process simply of yukta vairagya, that everything we do is an offering to Krishna, so automatically we perform those acts that please Krishna. And these acts are enshrined in the 9 process of bhakti, devotional service, and they begin with Shravanam Kirtanam, hearing and chanting. And basically, this is the life of the devotee. Shravanam Kirtanam, hearing and chanting, and shaking loose those 3 modes of material nature and the shackles of sex life. Are there any questions or comments?
Prabhu, when you were reading this verse, I was thinking, generally we often hear of the higher planets, the demigods, of a place of enjoyment. There's apsaras and damsels, and Vivasi's up there. She's, and it seems like it's. And we had the twin sons of like Manigriva and what was the other one?
Manigriva.
Yeah, they
weren't on a high planet. They were in Yakshaloka. It's not that high. It's sort of little.
But generally you hear the higher. You go to heavenly planets for enjoyment.
Yeah.
And in this verse it says the opposite. Actually, as you become more elevated as a demigod, you become free of material desires.
Yeah, so that is conjectural in the sense that there are different heavenly planets, right? So Svargaloka, there is, as we read, there is still very much enjoyment of materials of the senses. But first of all, there's Svarga and there's beyond. So I was speaking about Jnana, Tapa and Brahmaloka, where really you have to be very aesthetically inclined and renounce that principle of enjoying sex or even that of procreation, and just focus your mind and intelligence on your soul and try to get back to that platform of Brahma Bhuta. But in the meantime, we have the Karma Kanda section of the Vedas, and Vyasadeva wrote all this down. What's it for? It's for enjoying life in the planet of the demigods, Shvargaloka, right? So those people, it says, Samapa Puttapapa, 7th chapter, those people less intelligent will worship the demigods to attain the heavenly planets where they can enjoy Somaras. And it's like, woo, Somarasa, very, very, I don't know, I can't describe it. And then from that they can enjoy powerful sex life. That is there, and there's no karma there. That is their inherent, so not their right, their ability to be able to enjoy. That's why they want to go there. But first of all, to do that, you have to follow the regulations of the Karma Kanda, and they're very, very strict, that you have to observe all the codes and etiquettes and bring your children up in a, God-conscious manner according to Dharma. So there's no, if you don't do that, you don't get there, you go down, right? So that is the Karma Kanda section of the Vedas. And it's just described that they're very flowery words, they sound really good. But actually you have to go beyond that, you have to penetrate beyond that, because they're still dealing with the three modes of material nature. Right? You have to go beyond that onto the Brahma. Okay?
Thanks for the class, Vasu. So you were speaking about the super soul and also Krishna within the heart. So what's the difference between both of them?
Okay, so Krishna, we usually say Krishna in the heart because it's, technically speaking, it's Chiradoksha Vishnu. So it's the third expansion of Lord Vishnu. But Lord Vishnu comes from Krishna originally, that is from Sankashana. I think he comes from Sankashana. So Lord Krishna's there. He's in the spiritual Vrindavan. So Lord Krishna, he's got creative potencies, spiritual creative potencies where he expands himself. So he doesn't have to go to Vrindavan. All these other expansions take care of everything, just like the Vasudeva expansion goes and becomes Narayan Vaikuntha, and so Sankashan becomes Lord Vishnu. So that's the expansion of Krishna. So for us, Vishnu and Krishna, that's that aspect of creation of Krishna, right? So therefore we see Lord Vishnu in the heart as Krishna, and he revealed himself to the heart of the devotee as Krishna. We worship Krishna in his two-armed form. As other people see the yogi, he meditates, and sometimes you see the picture in the Bhagavad Gita that when the yogi is meditating, Vishnu appears as a four-armed form, and that's the form that he's meditating on. And that Vishnu form is actually non-different from the form of Narayan Vaikuntha, and that is the destination of that particular yogi. But for the devotee, the destination is Krishna as Vrindavan, or like Vrindavan, so he meditates on Krishna like that. So therefore, as devotees, as Vaishnavas, we say Krishna.
So they're speaking about a super soul when they say
Super
Krishna
soul,
within the heart, but it's not actually like Bhagavan realization, because they're not actually seeing Krishna within the heart. When people more like speak about the super soul, they're normally speaking about how the intuition and Krishna's fulfilling their desires and stuff like this.
Yeah, Krishna's guiding. Krishna's always there as a guide, guiding the living entity towards that path of liberation. But for the devotee, that liberation is not really what he wants. People's idea of liberation is that they sort of go to Vaikuntha. So most people are happy to go to Vaikuntha, the Hindus, Narayan. There's one guy here on the Sunday once said, Narayan is the Supreme Person. It's time to go. Anyway, he was saying Narayan is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that's all he knew, right? He didn't really want to go to Goloka Vrindavan because sometimes those people think that, people think that Krishna is just one of the 10 avatars of Vishnu. They don't know. Yes, but Krishna is just an avatar, right, in Vrindavan. So they don't understand the supremacy of Krishna as being the original creator, the Adi Purush. Right? So there's that. I'll leave you with that. Jai, all glories to Prabhupada. Thank you very much. Bharat wants to know what's going on. What's the latest? Yes, Bharat, what's the